everyone. Welcome to another interview at Elite Expert Insider. I'm Melanie Johnson, one of the co-owners and founders of Elite Online Publishing. If you want to become a bestseller, you should go and check us out. Speaking of that, we have an author today and the owner of Speaker Elevation. So if you're thinking about being a speaker and want to get on stages and need to know how to get on stages, well, guess what? Here we are. We have an expert. Nona Prather today is with us, and she is going to give us the lowdown on that. Hey, Nona, thanks for joining us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. This is exciting.
Great. Well, tell us, how did you end up in this business?
Yeah, a lot of people ask that. They're like, how in the world did this happen?
Yeah.
So my dad is a professional speaker, and so he started his business in 1992. And it really became the entire family helping him try to find speaking engagements, managing his CRM, doing mailings, faxing. I mean, I was sitting in the back of the room trying to sell his books, the whole, I've had every job in the speaking industry as far as helping speakers get their word out in different avenues and different marketing ways. And so I managed a speaker bureau for a long time after college
Uh-huh.
and after I had my daughter. And so I did that for a long time. And then in 2020, when the pandemic happened and things kind of went to a pause, I looked back and was like, what do I really want? And and I just knew I could serve better than when I was working for the bureau.
Yeah.
So I started my own booking agency, and it's a lot more individualized for the speaker now. So I still work with speakers. I didn't think I'd still be doing it 30 something years later, but here I am and I'm loving it and made it my own. So,
Well, so you're like second generation speaking.
yes, I am exactly.
That's cool. I mean, that you don't see that every day. Usually someone has just been doing it or falling into it. So you have tons and tons of experience. A lot of speakers when they're starting out, like their dream is to get paid, but a lot of times people have to speak for free. How do you jump from free speaking to get paid speaking?
Yeah, so that is a good question because it is kind of a stair step industry where people will start out at local events, at small associations, associations do pay, but in like SHRM events, the Society of Human Resources, they just don't pay as much,
Yeah.
maybe as like the big keynoter. That's what everyone thinks of as
Yeah.
paid speaking is the big keynoter at a big conference. But there's a lot more to it than that. Like most of my clients, they're speaking to get their message out, to find clients that can in turn hopefully get them to those bigger gigs
Yeah.
or hopefully get them like a workshop or a training at a bigger. And so, yeah, I always tell everyone stick with your pricing, but always be willing to do something because there's a lot of nonprofits that have a lot of leaders that can afford future events.
Yes.
So I talk about in my book the Speak Monthly methodology. And I say this can be a showcase, it can be virtual, it can be a podcast, it can be a pay. Everything counts toward your expertise and everything counts toward getting you that credibility. So I still think it's important to do some of those showcase free gigs. It just depends on if the audience is a good one. The only ones I say to stay clear from are the pay to play. Hey, if you pay us $2,000, you can be our keynoter. They're just looking for money. Their audience probably is not a good audience for you. So other than that, volunteer actually is a good business building avenue. And I feel like they kind of come out in the wash. Like those big ones, they all get together, like those free ones, the volunteer ones, the ones where you're only paid travel, and then
Yeah.
those big keynotes, they kind of work together to make you that expert. So yeah, really research the audience and see if it's a good fit for you and if
Yeah.
you can possibly get some spin-off or network at it.
I always think it's tough, like, you have to pitch yourself almost to these people, and then it's
Yeah.
hard. It's like you're not selling a product, like, I'm not selling a vacuum to them or,
Right.
a lawnmower or something, but you're selling you. Is it better
Mhm.
for you to do it yourself or have a third party doing it for you or an assistant doing it for you? What's your recommendation on that?
Yeah, my recommendation is to always have a team, at least a virtual assistant. Like whenever, we were growing up and my dad had me, my brother, and my stepmom,
Yeah.
we were his team. He was fortunate enough he didn't have to, purchase someone outside of the family so he could
Yeah.
trust us to really do our best work and everything. But if you don't have that availability, then it's really great to find a virtual assistant you can trust that really gets to know your business and what you need and
Yeah.
what you can do to help. help,
Mhm.
because honestly, it's a lot of work. Like I talked to my dad about how he made his goals from starting off at nothing, and now he's a well-known name in the electric safety industry. But he didn't get there overnight, and it wasn't by himself. And it was, even he was doing phone calls literally from sun up to sundown. Like I would leave in the morning to go to band practice, 6:30 in the morning. I would come home from school and even later after dinner, and he would still be up in his office calling different organizations, associations, and companies to see if they needed a safety speaker. And that's really
Mhm.
built his business, was through that, all of that activity. And it's a lot of work, and you're going to hear 9 times out of 10 or 100 times out of out of 99 times you're going to hear no.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm always like, you know what? It's not no forever. It's maybe just not no right now, because now that they know you and you have a good relationship with them, and maybe you like sent them your book in the mail with a personal note, once they are ready, because they know of you, that no can turn into a yes. I tell people all the time that I haven't talked to that organizer for more than a year. They'll call me back and say, "Hey, remember when we talked about that one person? I'd like to hire them now." And it was, it's because I put them on my newsletter on a regular follow up and didn't forget about them, and still, had them on my LinkedIn, comment on their LinkedIn messages, just staying top of mind. So that's the
Yeah.
how I do it, by keeping connected in several different ways. It's important to make those relationships, I guess is what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
build on those
You
relationships
know?
the longer they know you, and I love that you said send them your book. So, I'm gonna
Yes.
do a shout out here. If you wanna be a speaker, the best way is really to have a book, because think about that, when you send that book out with a personal note, that book is, they're gonna see it. It's gonna stay on their desk, their coffee table, or wherever. Even if it's with a stack of books, it's like they sent you something physical. I think that's better than, even if you send the book as a PDF, it's not as powerful
Yes.
as sending the physical book in that instance.
Exactly, because like you said, they put it on their desk, they put it on their bookshelf,
Yep.
they see it, they remember you, and they say, "Oh, I need an expert about how to get paid to
Yeah.
speak. Oh, I have this book right here in front of me. I wonder if she's available."
And then it really
You
tones
know?
down your niche. You talk about in your book of knowing your niche. So, like, "Oh, I can
Yes.
talk to everybody about anything." So, is that true?
No, that is one of my biggest pet peeves whenever I get on a discovery call with someone and I say, "What is your industry? What's your particular
Mhm.
niche?" And they'll say, "Oh, I can speak to any and everyone. That's the good thing about me." And I'm like, "Okay, that's the opposite of a good thing, actually, because the riches are in the niches. If you want to be seen as an expert, just like my dad is seen in the electric industry as a safety expert. He's their go to expert. He had to work a long time to get there. I've had to work over 30 years to
Yeah.
become an expert on how to find paid speaking
Yep.
engagements. It wasn't an overnight thing. And I didn't stray from this topic. You can't speak to any and everyone. It's just impossible, because everyone has a background. We all have lived this,
Yeah.
we all have lived one life up to this point, and it's impossible that you've done everything and can talk to any and everyone, because you
Yeah.
have not done everything. So I always say pick a couple of industries and really dive deep down
Yeah.
into to those. And the goal is always to become the expert. And having a book is the way to become an expert, because obviously if you wrote a book about it, you're an expert. You know enough information to
Yeah.
write a whole book about it. So you're obviously an expert in that industry.
I like that you're saying it's a niche, because if you're usually more successful, like if you're only talking to dentists, or you're only talking to neonatal moms, or you know what I mean? If you have that, then you can really dive deep into that niche, and then they know you to be a great speaker. And then those industries have so many different events that you can be a speaker at. And from there, kind of rolls me into, you
Yes.
talked about too, about storytelling. And of course, in writing a book, I always tell authors, I just talked to an author yesterday, and she said, "Well, what do you think I need in my book still?" And I said, "I think you need more stories. You're giving a lot of great information, but I need either I need some of your personal stories, and I just need stories in general." So about storytelling when you're doing a speech.
Yeah, well, people remember how you made them feel, not always the exact words
Mm,
that you said. I mean, it's impossible for someone, if they're sitting in a 50-minute keynote, they're not going to remember every single thing you
right.
said, but they're definitely going to remember your stories and the way those stories made them feel.
Yeah.
And so I always say there's kind of a formula, is like, make them a story that makes them realize the problem in that industry. how you can help them solve it and what they can do themselves to take away. So I always say the most important thing for the industry, whenever someone is looking, you say, I have stories that are going to highlight, the audience is going to learn how to have tips, tricks, and techniques to walk away
Mhm.
with. Using storytelling is a good tool because it makes it a lot more able to
Yeah,
remember. The audience will remember the stories because they get those feelings. If it's a happy story,
yeah.
sad story, scary story, they remember those feelings way more than the actual information you're sharing. So if you can tie a story into the information to
Yeah.
really like make it lock in and be sticky in their mind, that's the way that you get remembered and you're seen as an expert even more because that's what they remember about
Is
you.
there any like structure that you might want to teach people? Writing, we kind of have a formula for books for each chapter. What would you say your formula is?
Yeah, it really is centered around stories, like you said. So, like, first you start off with an intro, of course, about yourself, three stories to tie it in, because you need to have at least 3 to 5 audience takeaways that are actionable, feeling,
Mhm.
and makes them want to do better, motivating. And then tie it all up in the end in a pretty bow that says, hey, I know this was a lot to take in. This may feel overwhelming, and you're excited. You want to make all these changes right now, but this is the way you can work together and it is not impossible, and reach out to me and help me, and that's how like maybe you can sell your books
Mhm.
or your expertise. It's like tying it up and being like, I'm here to help you. And that's the most important thing, is like the audience and the decision maker wants to know that you're there to help them. You're not always the star of the show, but you're really there. Your purpose is of you to help them. And a lot of speakers, kind of like my soapbox, but a lot of speakers go in and pretend like they're the diva of the show and they're the star of the show because they're the one on the stage. And sometimes they kind of forget why they're there. So if you can tie it in and actually connect with the audience,
Mhm.
that's the best way to get recommended and referred time and time again, not always being the star of the show, but there to be like, oh, I really want to help you. I really want to help your organization. I really hope this really helped them. Just remember that you're not there to be the star of the show, but you're there to actually help the audience and make that decision maker look really good for bringing you in.
Yeah. The one thing that people aspire, we get this all the time. I want to be a TEDx speaker. How do I get there? And I've been a TEDx speaker, lucky enough to get, I didn't even have to apply. I was asked to be a TEDx speaker. So I don't
Awesome.
have a lot of advice for people. I'm like, I know you have to apply. I can't tell you what to put on the application. Advice you give people that want to aspire to be on TED stage.
Yeah, a lot of people do come to me and they say, my dream is to be a TEDx speaker. It's a good dream, it's a goal, but just know before you go into it, you're probably going to apply about 200 times before you get actually chosen. So there is a really big competition, especially in the bigger city
Yeah.
areas. There's competition, but I actually represent Frank King, who is the record holder for the most TEDx's. I think he's done 13 published TEDx's, and he's filmed like 15, so not all of them have been
Are they
published,
all
but
speeches or it's all the same speech on different platforms?
they're all about mental health, but they have a different topic and a different takeaway,
Okay.
because it's all about TEDx wants to know outside of the box
Yeah.
thinking. So they don't want cookie cutter speakers,
Right.
they who's really outside of the box, that can really have an aha moment. Like they're looking for, when they go through all those applications, they're looking for reasons to say no to
Yeah.
you. And so you really want to catch their attention with like different ideas, some aha moments that people, and different, like
Mhm.
they want people to be different. And TEDx is really big on stories as
Yeah.
well. So like if you have like a trauma story that you would like to share, like more chances are you're going to get picked because of your trauma
Mhm.
story. And then you tie in your points and
Yeah.
everything. But if you have a good enough story that really, because it's all about sharing, because even if you help one person, with your story, because I hear people say, "Oh, no one wants to hear my story." Like all these people have been abused or
Yeah.
talked down to or whatever. It's not anything. That's not true. Like there's someone who might actually be get help from hearing your story. You never know. But yeah, but just know that they're not paid. They're not always easy to get to. You have to apply a
Yeah.
lot, but they can be used for like marketing yourself as a
Uh-huh.
professional speaker, and it can help you get that credibility as well. So it can be a good tool. You just got to share it. And I have people that I send, trusted advisors that I send people to that can help with the marketing of your TEDx. Cause
Yeah.
I mean, TEDx just literally puts it on YouTube and it's up to yourself to market it. So there are people who actually do that for you at a pretty good cost, I think, plus coaching like Frank so that you can get chosen quicker. So yeah, there's definitely tools. If that's a goal for you, I definitely get a team to help you,
Yeah.
like Frank or my friend Jonathan that
Gosh, I
promotes
didn't
them.
even think about, because I would watch, I'm like, I'm not getting that many views. How do I get more views? And I didn't realize there's probably is a whole business of
Yeah,
we're going to promote your
there
YouTube
is.
video to get views on it and get it more popular.
Yeah, his name is Jonathan Grabnor. He lives in Australia, and his 0 to 60 is his company. And if you look up his TED Talk, it went viral. He has tons of views, and now he helps other people get views as well and to grow
Interesting.
their engagement on their post of their YouTube. And it's very affordable. It's like under $200 a month for him to do that. So it's really affordable.
Interesting. And yeah, but then you wonder, like, are they bots watching it? Are they real people watching it? All of that goes on. What are some of your final tips if someone wants to be a speaker?
Yeah, if you're looking to be a speaker and you're just starting out, my number one thing is don't give up. I see so many people come in this business, they're all gung ho about it. Then we go 3 to 6 months calling and we haven't gotten a no yet because, like I said, it could be 100 to 1. But you never know when. So people give up really
Yeah.
easily. And so one of my clients, Gary, he's the author of Safe at Work and he's a de-escalation speaker. I got him Asphalt and Pavement Association of Indiana, and they loved his talk and they loved him personally so much that they asked him to go to their Michigan one, they asked him to go to their California one, and then when their international conference came around, they asked him to be their big keynoter. And it's all because they knew him, they liked him, and he didn't give up after just 6 months of us calling, and we were able to break him out into that industry and he became their go-to expert. So I always say, don't give up, keep calling. You're going to hear a million no's. Some people are going to be nasty. Just keep going. It's not personal. You will make it if you don't give up. That's just the
Yep.
one thing that people do is they give up so easily and it's discouraging. I know it's discouraging, but it is worth it in the
Like,
end.
you just have to take it. One more no means you're closer to a yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. Well, tell people where they can find you, Nona.
Yeah, for sure. Speakerelevation.com. Or you can email me at Nona, Nona, at speakerelevation.com. Yeah, and I do discovery calls and consulting calls and always have that first chat for free. Yeah, and then look up my book, 24 Ways to Get Paid to Speak. Yeah, reach out to me. I love to meet and talk to anyone and everyone.
Terrific. And do you actually get people booked to speak? Do you book them, or are you coach them?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah. Oh, so we help them get the connections to the
Uh-huh.
relationships that they need. So at the end, whenever our calls, we'll call about 100 to 200 per week. And then we send the report and say, these are the people that said, yes, you are a good fit. They are the decision maker and they are interested in learning more about you. And then we give that speaker that information of those people that said yes. It's usually like an 8 to 10%
Yeah.
response rate of those yeses. And all those people are hot leads. So you don't have to worry about the cold leads from the hot leads. And then we follow up with them continually in hopes that we get a booking. And I would say 9 times out of 10, within 12 months, we can usually get a good booking that makes their money back for their ROI with us.
That's
So,
good. Terrific. All right, reach out to Nona and grab her book. And we appreciate you coming. Remember to and share this podcast. And we'll see you next week, everybody. And if you want to become a speaker and an author, the best way to become a speaker is to write a book. So reach out to us at eliteonlinepublishing.com. We guarantee all our authors will become best-selling authors when you qualify to work with us. And we also do book awards. We'll see you next time, everyone. Have a great week. Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.